Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jordan and thank you so much for clicking on one of my bookish videos. Today I am going to be talking about my spring book recommendations, which I realize is maybe a little bit late seeing as it is now mid-April, but it's never too late to start reading some books to get you in the spring mood, get you ready for summer. So if you're interested in seeing some of my favorite books, new and old, that I think you should read this spring, keep on watching. Happy Place by Emily Henry to me just screams spring going into summer. I don't know why. This was the first Emily Henry release that I read in April when it came out, and I will just forever associate this book with April into early May. This is like my favorite book to read in the spring. If you don't know what Happy Place is about, it is a second chance romance about Harriet and Wynne. They had a relationship that fell apart that nobody really knows why. They were really close and had a really good stable relationship while they were both, I believe, in college or right out of college, and then essentially with life circumstances their relationship was not able to keep going. Happy Place is set in Maine when this friend group that Harriet and Wynne are both a part of come back together for this week-long vacation. It's the first time that they've been together in the same vicinity in a few years, I believe, and they're kind of forced to reconcile and talk through a lot of the reasons why their relationship ended in the first place. It is so good. This is honestly, I think, such an underrated Emily Henry book. I really want to reread it soon, and I think it's just the perfect way to get you in the spring romance vibes and ready for summer. Okay, next we have a book that I will probably be recommending year-round. However, I think just the colors and when it came out really reminds me of the spring season, and that is First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. This is a book that is inspired off of Sleepless in Seattle. Basically, First Time Caller is about Lucy and Aiden, and Lucy is a 30-year-old woman, which I really love that she's a bit older in this book. Her preteen daughter calls into Aiden's radio talk show that is about romance and relationships, basically asking him to help her mom get a boyfriend, and Lucy ends up going viral because of this clip and agrees to do a special talk show segment with Aiden to try and find her love, the great love of her life. The banter between the two of these characters is top tier. This was just a book where the romance literally gave me like butterflies. I loved it so much. I loved both Lucy and Aiden's characters equally. I think they both had really realistic issues as 30-year-olds, and it's just the perfect little romance that gives me real spring vibes. Next, we have a romance book that just released, and that is Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage. This is the final book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, which is a small town romance, I guess it's a cowboy romance series, but honestly, it's my favorite small town romance, cowboy romance series. I absolutely love every book in this series. I think it just got better the further along. Wild and Wrangled is my favorite. It is about Dusty and Cam. It's a second chance romance, best friends to lovers. Dusty and Cam were best friends and dated when they were in high school, and then their relationship fell apart when they graduated for reasons unknown to most of the town. So when they are brought back together and living together in their hometown again for the first time in years, they're kind of forced to again reconcile, figure out their problems. Dusty is going after Cam with a vengeance, and I love it. And I really loved Cam's character, so definitely recommend checking this one out. Okay, and next we have another newer romance. This is Promise Me Sunshine by Carabas Stone. This was gifted to me by the Dial Press, so thank you to them. This is such a beautiful book. I mainly liked it because of its discussion of grief. The main character in this book has just lost her best friend, and she is going through it. She is depressed, she's lost, she's kind of just aimlessly wandering the world when suddenly she gets this babysitting gig for this little girl, and the girl's uncle is Miles, who has also dealt with grief of his own loved ones in his time, and he is determined to try and essentially help the main character in any way that he can by just standing by by her side, letting her grieve, trying to push her out of her comfort zone. The writing about grief in this book was so well done, and the relationship definitely was a very slow burn romance. You kind of only get peeks of it because it's so focused on the grief and being stuck in that and not seeing anything else. But by the end, I was really rooting for these characters, and I just really loved the writing in this one. Okay, switching gears a little bit, I have a fiction book that I think is perfect for spring, and that is Yellowface by R.F. Kong. If you have never read Rebecca's books before, she definitely leans fantasy. This is a purely fictional book, and something about it, I don't know if it's the yellow cover, whatever, I think it's just the perfect fiction book for the spring. It is about this writer who essentially steals her friend's unfinished manuscript when her friend suddenly dies. She publishes the manuscript in her name, giving her friend no credit, and overnight basically becomes this acclaimed author. And it's a really interesting book with a lot of dialogue on the publishing industry, racism, the different nuances within publishing, and it's really well done. I think this book really showcases Rebecca's talent for not only how smart she is and how thought-provoking her writing is, but also her satire. So I really enjoyed this one. Next, we have Water Moon by Samantha Sotoyambo. This is a realistic fantasy magical realism book, and it is so much fun. It is essentially following this character who owns this pawn shop, and the pawn shop is magical, so people go to the pawn shop to give away their like worst memories in order to let them go. She has existed solely in this pawn shop as its owner for her entire life. Suddenly her dad is gone missing, and this human, this stranger, shows up in the pawn shop, and she's forced to leave the shop, go out of her comfort zone, try to find her father. And when she does that, she learns a lot about the magical world that she exists in with this pawn shop. It is really well done. It's a really unique perspective of a fantasy book. I feel like the magic system was really cool. It's a really interesting book about choices and memories and going out of our comfort zone. And thank you to Del Rey for the free book. Next, we have another new romance. This is Passion Project by London Sperry. I feel like this book is going around everywhere right now, at least on Bookstagram. This was gifted to me by Penguin Books, so thank you very much to them. This is another book about grief. The way that grief and depression was written in this book, I think was the most realistic I've seen it written in a really long time. I really could connect to Bennett, the main character, who is grieving the loss of her ex-boyfriend. She is deep in the depths of depression in this book, and she had just recently moved to New York to try and live out a dream that she had with her ex-boyfriend. When she moves to New York, she is just lost. She cannot find anything that interests her, and her friends push her to go on a date with this guy named Henry. And Henry enters the picture. Once again, a male main character who has dealt with his own type of grief in different ways, and Henry essentially proposes this project for the summer to get Bennett out of her comfort zone, push her to do things again, and try out different things in New York City to find her passion and her happiness again. This book frustrated me at times because Bennett is self-sabotaging. She is a character who really needs a lot of help. She's pushing everyone away and isolating, but the way that Henry was there for her throughout this entire book was so beautiful and heartwarming, and I just absolutely loved it. And this book just like screams spring to me. So you need to read it if you like emotional romances. Okay, next I have a young adult romance. This is Twelfth Knight by Alexine Farrell Fulmuth, who is the author Olivia Blake, who is one of my favorite authors ever. This is one of her young adult books, and it is such a good book. I read it last summer and absolutely loved it. It's about Viola and Jack, who are in high school. Viola is someone who really struggles with basically not being able to do the things that she wants to do because she's a female. Jack is someone who has just gone through a life-changing injury, and as a jock, he really doesn't know who he is without sports, and the two of them meet when they start playing this video game called Twelfth Knight that Viola has been obsessed with, and she is really able to excel and be who she wants to be in this game because she's able to mask as a male knight character. I just loved this book because of the discussion about fandom and community and things that we're obsessed with that give us purpose and friendship, and it was really, really well done. Next, we have Talking at Night by Claire Daverly. This book just completely changed me. It broke me. It was so beautiful. Again, the cover to me just screams spring. This is about Will and Rosie, and they are, again, two characters that fall in love when they're younger. I think when they're in high school. They're two completely different people. Rosie comes from a family that is really successful and ambitious and is pushing her to do all these, things that they think are super important. And Will comes from a family that has essentially fallen apart. He's been on his own for most of his life with his grandmother. This entire book is just them coming together, coming apart, coming back together, coming apart. It definitely is a slow romance and a slow burn. However, just the way that it discusses life and the different challenges they both go through, really real struggles and things like grief, mental illness, and their love is what holds them together and brings them back together every single time when they're going through horrible things, even if they haven't talked in years. It's just so beautiful. Okay, next we have a book that is not out yet, but will be coming out May 20th. So if you're interested in it, please put this on your TBR for next month. And that is My Friends by Frederick Bachman. This was gifted to me by Atria Books, so thank you so much to them. This is Bachman's newest book, and I keep describing it as a mix of the writing and characters in Beartown and Anxious People, in that it definitely has a lot of like the quirky, fun, very unique characters of Anxious People, but it also has a lot of the deeper conversations and topics and community and friendship aspect of Beartown. My Friends follows 4 teens when they are younger, and it's told from the point of view of one of the teens when he's older and he meets this young girl. It basically is just telling the story of this friendship that was formed between these 4 young people. Just a story of friendship and how friends and the people that we love when we're younger can really form us as people, form our personalities, and hold us up, hold us together through some of our worst moments. One thing that really stands out to me is, and this is a very Frederick Bachman thing, every single chapter opens with a sentence that just sums up the chapter so well. It's so moving. I literally wanted to underline every first sentence. His writing in this, I think, may be some of his best yet, and I grew to really, really love these 4 teens and then the other characters along the way. So definitely add this to your TBR. All right, and now we have another newer romance of this year, and this is Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams. This was gifted to me by Dell Romance, so thank you to them. This is the 3rd book in the When in Rome series. I know what the series is called, but I cannot remember it right now. Whatever. This is Emily and Jack's book. So Emily is the oldest daughter of the Walker family, and this is an interconnected small town romance series. Emily is the oldest daughter to the core, and sometimes that doesn't go over well. I myself am an eldest daughter, and so sometimes it's like too stereotype the eldest daughter character in books. However, I really, really loved Emily's character in this. I really related to her. Just her need to show up for everyone, do everything for everyone, her feelings that she just could not be open and emotional and vulnerable because she had to always hold herself together for her siblings. I really related to that. Her and Jack have a bit of like a enemies to lovers situation, and they have for a few years, and I just really enjoyed this, and it made me super excited for the next book in the series. And again, I think the cover just screams spring romance. So okay, now we have, I would say, another contemporary romance or fiction book, and this is Alone with You in the Ether by Olive Blake. This is my favorite Olive Blake book. Honestly, it is just one of the most well-written books I've ever read. It is a romance, but it is mainly a story about mental illness and mental health and how our, minds can impact our relationships with ourselves and then other people. It is a love story. It is a beautiful love story between two people who are deeply, deeply flawed and are struggling with so many different things, but it is so beautiful. Like, the themes and the quotes and the writing in this are something that I will remember forever. They are broken, they are flawed, but they love each other so deeply and come together in a way that's just like sets off this crazy chain reaction in their relationship. I definitely recommend reading this one if you like a contemporary romance. I have another young adult romance recommendation, and again, this is a book that's coming out in May, I believe on May 20th, and that is Audre and Bash Are Just Friends by Tia Williams. I love Tia Williams' writing so much. She just writes characters so unique and so real. And this is following Audre, who is the daughter of Eva in 7 Days in June, which is one of her biggest books. Audre in this story gets her own little romance and more character development, and I absolutely loved her character. She definitely is the type A, super ambitious high schooler that I could really relate to, because I was the same way in high school, just wanting to do everything and succeed and get into a good college. She's really dealing with a lot of anxiety that she's holding in internally and doesn't really know how to work through. And she meets Bash in a time where her relationship with her mom and her family is just really feeling on edge. And her and Bash have just such fun banter and chemistry. I love a good young adult romance. It just brings me so much joy because I feel like it's so emotional. You have to have a really good connection between the characters because you're not necessarily getting as much spice. And yeah, this was a terrific young adult romance book out in May. This was gifted to me by Little Brown Company Young Readers, so thank you to them. Now I am going to give you a few more recommendations for the non-romance readers that hopefully you enjoy some of these. And first, I have The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle Jensen. This was gifted to me by Dell Romance, so thank you to them. This is a new adult fantasy series, I would say, that really focuses on politics and world building with a good amount of romanticy. I don't know if it's just because I'm reading this series right now, and so for me it's oh, this is a spring series, but this was the one fantasy series I saw on my bookshelf, so I was yeah, this leans spring. So this is interconnected. It's following multiple pairs of couples. They all are kings, queens, princes, princesses of these different kingdoms. And essentially what's going on is, in this first book at least, you're following the king of the Bridge Kingdom. He has this bridge, and the daughter of one of the enemy countries. And it's just a lot of really, really cool politics. I love the way that Danielle builds up this world and the different alliances that are going on, the different wars that occur. I really, really love the romance in these first two books with Aaron and Laura. It's just a really, really fun time. I'm having the best time reading this series right now. Okay, and now I have to give a shout out to another young adult fantasy series that is still one of my favorites, and that is the Shatter Me series by Tahira Mafi. This is such a fun young adult series. It is fantasy and I think a bit dystopian, I would describe it as. I read this a few years ago and I still keep it on my shelf. I really loved it. It really is a romantasy in terms of the romance between the main two characters, but I would really describe it as a dystopian. Juliet, who's the main character, has this curse where anything she touches kills people, so she's been literally kept in a cell jail for like a bunch of years, completely isolated. And then she finally gets let out, and she's used by the reestablishment, I believe, as a weapon to try and get their way. And throughout the series, you get to learn about how her perspective and role in this like revolution changes. The romance in this book is so good, and I love the characters, and it's such an easy and fast-paced young adult fantasy series to read. Okay, the last book I have to recommend is Homeseeking by Carissa Chen. This was gifted to me by Putnam Books, so thank you to them. This is a fiction, historical fiction, contemporary romance, I would say. It is mainly following these two characters living in Shanghai who were childhood best friends to lovers, and then they got separated when their families left the country to get away from the war that was going on. It is a then and now perspective. It's following them when they're meeting up again in the future. You're also learning about their family's circumstances and different Chinese wars that are going on throughout the different decades as they perceive them. The romance in this was really, really just sweet and beautiful. You kind of get it sprinkled throughout the book, and then it ends in a way that they come back together. But I really felt like I just learned a lot about Chinese culture and history from this author's writing, and I really, really enjoyed it. All right, so that is the end of this little book recommendations video. I hope that you found something that piqued your interest that you may want to pick up this spring. I feel like these lean like spring into summer again, especially with the romance and fiction books, so you definitely can pick them up anytime these next few months, and I think they would be perfect. I really hope that you enjoyed watching this. Please let me know if you love any of these books. I would love to hear, because they are all some of my favorite books. And let me know your spring book recommendations down below. If you enjoyed watching this, I would love if you subscribe to my channel for more bookish videos in the future. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!